Imagine a vast, dry desert. Sand stretches as far as the eye can see. Now picture a giant wooden boat in the middle of it all. That's what Noah's story is like, a story of unexpected faith in a world desperate for hope. The Bible tells us the world was filled with wickedness. People had forgotten God. Their hearts were far from him. But Noah, he was different. Noah walked with God. He listened to God's voice. One day, God spoke to Noah. He told him about a great flood, a flood that would cover the entire earth. God gave Noah a very important job: build an ark. This ark would save Noah, his family, and two of every kind of animal. Imagine the scene. Noah stands alone, the desert wind whipping around him. He looks towards the cloudless sky, listening to God's voice. Build an ark, God says. A huge boat, big enough for your family and all the animals. This was no small task. Noah had probably never even seen the ocean, and yet he believed God's words. He trusted that God knew what he was doing. This is what faith is all about, believing in God even when things don't make sense. Noah didn't argue with God. He didn't doubt. He simply listened and obeyed. This obedience is a powerful lesson for all of us. When we trust God and his plan for our lives, we find the courage to follow him, even when the path seems impossible. Can you imagine the work involved? Cutting down giant trees, shaping the wood, fitting the pieces together. It was a monumental task. People probably thought Noah was crazy. A flood? Here in the desert? They must have scoffed. But Noah kept building day after day, year after year. He faced ridicule and doubt, yet he remained focused on the task God had given him. He knew that obedience wasn't always easy, but it was always right. Noah's story reminds us that faith isn't passive. It's not just about believing, it's about acting on that belief. It's about doing what God asks, even when it's hard, even when others don't understand. It's about trusting that he knows what's best. Years passed, the ark began to take shape. It stood tall against the desert landscape, a testament to one man's faith and obedience. The people continued to mock Noah and his family. They couldn't see the storm clouds gathering on the horizon, but Noah never wavered. He knew that God was faithful, even when the world was not. He held on to the promise of God's protection, even as the first raindrops began to fall. His unwavering faith is a powerful reminder for us today. We live in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, but we serve a God who is always in control. Like Noah, we can find peace and security in knowing that he will never leave us nor forsake us. And then the rains came. Torrents of water poured from the heavens. The dry desert floor transformed into a raging sea. The people who had mocked Noah now scrambled for safety, but it was too late. The floodwaters rose just as God had said, but Noah, his family, and the animals were safe inside the ark. They felt the storm raging around them, but they were secure within the walls of the ark. They had chosen to trust God, and now their faith was keeping them afloat. Their story reminds us that faith isn't just about avoiding hardship, it's about trusting God through the hardship. It's about believing that he is with us, even in the midst of the storm. It's about knowing that he will bring us safely to the other side. After many days and nights, the rain finally stopped. The floodwaters receded, revealing a world washed clean. Noah and his family stepped out of the ark onto dry land, forever changed by their experience. They had witnessed the destructive power of sin and the saving grace of God. The story of Noah's Ark is a powerful testament to the importance of faith and obedience. It teaches us that God keeps his promises. It reminds us that he's worthy of our trust, even when we don't understand his plan. And it inspires us to live lives of obedience, knowing that he will always be faithful to see us through. The ark became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, God's love and mercy prevail. It's a story that continues to resonate with us today, offering comfort, guidance, and inspiration for our own journeys of faith. We may not be called to build a giant ark, but we are all called to live lives of faith and obedience. Every day we face choices that challenge our faith, moments where we must decide whether to trust God's plan or our own. A single mother working 2 jobs to provide for her children. A young person standing up for what's right, even when it's unpopular. A doctor working tirelessly to save lives. These are just a few examples of modern-day faith and obedience. These individuals may not face a literal flood, but they face their own storms, financial struggles, social pressures, ethical dilemmas, and yet they choose to trust God. They choose to obey His commands. They choose to live lives that reflect His love and grace. Faith, like Noah's, isn't about seeing the whole path laid out before us. It's about taking the first step and then the next, trusting that God is leading the way. It's about holding on to His promises, even when the world around us feels uncertain. Obedience, like Noah's, isn't about blind submission. It's about recognizing God's authority in our lives and choosing to align our will with His. It's about recognizing that His ways are higher than our ways and His plans are always for our good. We may not always understand why God asks us to do certain things, but we can trust that He knows what's best for us. We can find peace in knowing that He is with us every step of the way. The story of Noah's Ark is a timeless reminder that God is faithful. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is still in the business of saving, protecting, and providing for His children. As you go about your day, remember the lessons of the Ark. Trust God's plan, even when it doesn't make sense. Obey His commands, even when it's difficult. And never lose sight of the fact that He is always with you, guiding you through every storm and leading you towards a future filled with hope and promise. The story of Noah's Ark isn't just ancient history. It's a living testament to the transformative power of faith and obedience. It's a message that continues to resonate across generations, inspiring us to live lives of courage, hope,